title of this one is From Young Gun to Road Dog. And I tell you what, I am a road dog. I have been all over the world playing music. I'm very fortunate to have done so. And that's what this channel is all about, is trying to help my fellow musicians, and especially the next generation, younger drummers, younger musicians who are coming up. Let's get them to the next level, right? Let's get them into that area where they want to be, where I wanted to be so bad when I was first growing up. When I first moved out here to Los Angeles from Colorado, where I wanted to be so bad. Um, Everything that I do in my life is either about music, it's about playing music, I write about music, I teach music, everything is there. And again, it's to help the next generation. So that's what these videos are about, and that's especially what this one is about. This is really very personal to me. Because I remember wanting to be one of the guys on the road. I remember wanting to be one of the guys that was out there, making his mark and trying to make a difference in the music business, and especially in the drumming community. And I very much call it a community. If you watch some of the videos that I did earlier in the week, I was at PASIC, the Percussive Art Society International Convention, and my God, I learned so much there. And the one thing that I definitely am positively sure of is that the drumming community is alive and well. Okay. So what I think early ambition versus experience is something that's really important for young musicians to kind of remember. When you're young and you're first getting into the business, you have so much ambition. You want it so bad. It's kind of like, I remember one of my friends one time years ago, he goes, you're like a puppy dog. You're running and you got these big feet and you keep tripping over them because you're trying so hard. So one of the things I would say, even as a young player, the thing that I learned was to slow down a little bit, right? And I still go through this. I still go through this to this day. So this is a pill I have to continually take. But don't go so fast that you don't figure things out, right? My whole life I've been kind of like, I liken it to a running back. I'm just kind of plowing the line. Kenny Aronoff says the same thing. I'm just plowing through the line, trying to get 1, 2, 3, 5 yards or a touchdown, right? And so I think when you're younger, that can be off-putting to other musicians. So do your job well. Know your parts, have ambition, don't lose the fire, but at the same time, don't step on your toes or other people's toes when you're trying to break into the business. The longer you're here, the more experience you're going to have. The more experience you're going to have, you're going to be able to you'll be able to look back and go, oh, wow, you know what? Yeah, I was maybe out of line on that one. Maybe I was pushing too hard. Maybe I said the wrong thing. Maybe I played the wrong thing. Whatever, right? But it's about getting the experience, but at the same time not stepping on people's toes, right? And keep the ambition, but gain the experience. I think the next thing is, being a drummer, the physical realities of playing the drums is, it's a real thing. I mean, it's a very physical instrument. So I tell everybody, I've talked in past videos about this, keep yourself in good shape, right? Get to the gym, do some exercises, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, lift some weights, go for a walk, go for a run, whatever it is. I'm going to show you guys a stretch right now. Remember when I was about 15, I had a drum lesson that I paid for with my own money, right? And I took a lesson from this guy, and we did not play a single note, not one note. He showed me these stretches, and I was so mad. I was so upset that we didn't play anything. I'm like, dude, I paid you money, and you didn't show me how to play anything. So at first, I was like, this is the worst drum lesson I've ever taken. But I did these stretches out of spite. All of my friends years later, not just drummers, but guitar players, bass players, anybody that's using their fingers all the time, especially now that people got carpal tunnel syndrome or tendonitis. And knock on wood, right? I'm injury free from any of that sort of stuff. And it's because I hydrate, and I do a couple of stretches that are very important. So this first stretch, I use a drumstick, right? So just got a drumstick here. Any old drumstick will do. I pull it up to my chest. I pull my elbows apart and drop it through, right? And stretch my arms out. And then up over my head. And it really stretches this part of your wrist. It stretches in here, and it keeps you limber. I also bend my fingers backwards, right? Like this, just elongating the tendons in my hand, right? Because our hands work great this way, not so much back the other way. So I keep them elongated. Now, I'm not giving medical advice that don't, if it hurts, don't do it when you do that first stretch I showed you. You know, if you can only get to here, you know, fine. I've taught this to many students, and I've had some students that have, you know, had some pretty good luck with it. And the reason I say that was the best drum lesson was because I am injury free, and all of my friends that ended up having carpal tunnel syndrome, their doctor would show them that stretch, every one of them, and they would sell them the special carpal tunnel stick. And I was like, dude, you could have just grabbed a stick out of the stick bag and, you know, done it. But anyway, I think it's important to keep your hands and your wrists stretched out. Do the same thing with your legs. Stretch your calf muscles, stretch your legs, stretch your shins. Hydrate. Keep yourself in good physical shape, especially if you're doing a lot of gigs. If you're on tour, sometimes we'll do, you know, 10, 15 shows in a row. And by the end of it, man, you're pretty shot, you know. And so it's a physical thing. So keep yourself in good shape. It's very important. You can probably tell right now I have a bit of a cold, right? And it's not going to stop me from doing this video, because it's not stopped me from doing a gig. If I had a gig tonight, I'd be at the gig, right? So I think, you know, the show must go on. But you want the show to go on. If you have a cold, that's one thing. But if you have an injury, that's a whole other ball of wax. And man, sometimes it's kind of tough, especially as you get older. So luckily, I've kept myself in fairly good shape and everything. I had an injury recently I talked about in another video, and it didn't sideline me, but man, it got my attention. You know, that's for sure. So keep yourself in good shape. The other thing is ego is one of the things that will kill you, right? And when we're younger, we want to play like, okay, I'm a drummer, so I'm going to play every drum lick I have and every note that I know and every little fill that I know within the first 8 bars of a song, right? We all have done it. I remember, like, I'm a Tommy Aldridge freak. So when I was a kid coming up, like, if a song didn't have a double bass part, or I couldn't play a double bass part in the song, I didn't want to play the song. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten more maturity. And again, kind of back to that, you know, the whole thing with the ambition versus experience, right? I want to play well, but I want to serve the song. Of course, I want to, you know, have people like my drumming, and I want to play my cool fills and my cool licks and everything. I sit in here and work on them a lot. But the fact of the matter is, you know, a lot of times you don't use them. I remember one time the great Rory Burns said, drummers practice, you know, I forget exactly what it was, but they spend 90% of their time practicing things they'll use 2% of the time. And it's funny, but it's true, man. A lot of times we sit there and we practice drum licks and drum fills and all this crazy stuff, and you either can't fit it into the song or it just doesn't work within a lot of songs. I was doing an album one time with Michael Blum. I've talked about working with him. And I was an original album. I got hired by this lady to record drums on a record, and I played a drum fill on the song. And he was pretty notorious for not wanting a lot of drum fills and fancy stuff. He just wanted you to hold down time. And I got done with the song, and he comes into my headphones, and he goes, okay, come in, let's take a listen. And I knew I'd played the drum fill. But whenever he says that, I was like, oh, okay, must have sounded good. Because sometimes if it doesn't sound good, he'll just say, let's try another one, right? He said, come in, let's take a listen. So I go in, and we take a listen, and it's kind of chugging along pretty good. We get to the drum fill part, goes past him. It's like, wow, okay, cool. Got a drum fill into the song. He goes, that's pretty good. I think that's a keeper. And he backs up to the drum fill, and he cut it in half and spliced it together. He goes, hey, man, it's not a drum solo record. So again, playing for the song, right? Don't play for your ego. Don't play for the other drummers in the room. Serve the song. It's so incredibly important. One of the lessons that I learned the hard way is sobriety. Okay, I come from a long line of people that are drinkers, and being in the music business and being in that line of work, it's really easy to go down that road, and I did. And I'm not proud of it, but I did for a lot of years, and luckily I survived it. And in the music business, it's replete with people that have destroyed their lives and destroyed relationships and everything because of drinking, because of drugs and stuff. Don't do that stuff. Like if I'm not going to tell anybody how to live their life. If you go have a good time, that's great. But if you kind of start realizing, wow, this is an issue for me, this is a problem for me, and maybe my mom or my dad had this problem, or my uncles, or whatever, right? Maybe nip it in the bud. Don't be, and I said this in past videos too, don't be like Aerosmith. Aerosmith used to say that they were drug addicts dabbling in music. Don't be that. Be a musician first and foremost. You want to have a good life. You want to have a musical and artful life. So just kind of remember that. And then longevity, I'm not a spring chicken. I've been doing this. I've really been playing in bands and doing this and being around drums and being around musicians since I was really in high school is when I got my first band. But since the day I got out of school, man, I've always been in a band. Even before then, when I was in high school, I was always a guy in the band. I always wanted to be the guy in a band, right? I don't feel that I have anything left to prove. I'm still trying to pass on information, just like I'm doing in this video. I'm trying to help the next generation of drummers and musicians and people that want to move their careers forward. As musicians, I wish this kind of information would have been available to me when I was coming up. The only thing that we really had available, I read a book called The Platinum Rainbow that was out in the 1980s. I don't even know if it's in print anymore. But that kind of influenced me on a lot of things. I've been writing as well for many years. I wrote for a lot of industry magazines, for a lot of industry circulars. I've always wanted to have my opinion out there, and I had something to say other than just playing the drums. And so it's been something that's very important to me. I just wrote a book this last year called Drum Up Your Business. Drum is an acronym. Determination, relationships, understanding, and mentorship. Exactly what it is that I do with these videos. Exactly what it is that I do with my students and my coaching clients. The digital version is available on Hudson Music. The hard copies are available on my website, bartrobley.com. And there's a lot of information in there that can help you navigate the waters of the music business and the music industry. This is an industry that's always changing. It's constantly changing. There's not really any record deals anymore. There's not record labels anymore. There are record labels, but nothing like it was back in the day. To be a professional musician, you have to be playing. You have to be touring. You have to be teaching. You have to be recording. You have to be writing. There's a lot of hats you have to wear, right? And that's what this book is about. So if you're interested in that, or if you're interested in getting some coaching, please go to my website, bartrobley.com, and check things out. Reach out to me. I would love to help you. If you feel that would be a good fit, please reach out to me. I'm the easiest guy in the world to find. And again, when I say this last part, I already said that I have a bit of a cold, and I'm not. That's not something that is whoa, Bart did a video even when he was sick. No, that's what I do. I've been teaching all day. That's part of the gig. That's part of being self-employed. That's part of being a musician. The show must go on. And just because I got a scratchy throat doesn't mean that I'm not going to do one of my videos. So I hope that if you made it this far through the video, that my scratchy voice didn't bother you too much. Thank you guys for watching. If I can help you in any way, shape, or form, please reach out to me at my website. Digital version of my book, Drum Up Your Business, is available on Hudson Music. Hard copies on my website. I already said that. I'm rambling. I'll see you, yes, you, in the next video.